Well, you know what they say, another week, another episode of the Uncovering Anomalies podcast.
That's right.
This is episode 151, and joining me as always is my co-host, I Have a Need to Know, Adam.
What's up, everybody? Are you sick of my name yet?
No, it's good. You're stable and it's constant, you know. Unlike me, this week I am Topher, spelled Toe-Fur. It's a fun little insight into me trying to write music for the show. For whatever reason, Suno was pronouncing my name as Taufer.
Taufer.
I have no idea why. I've never changed the spelling when I've done created songs on there, but this week, for whatever reason, Suno decided it didn't like the pronunciation of my name. And also, I could not get a good song. I was trying to get just a good 30-second clip of music, and I was going to create some AI images and just do a quick little, intro music video kind of deal. That wouldn't take very long.
Oh,
and
nice.
I just couldn't get it to work, but I'm going to keep trying.
So annoying. Yeah, I mean, especially with voices, AI, does it allow you to preview some of how it's how
if it does, I haven't figured it out yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because some tools allow you to like preview before you generate. But I guess for a song, I'd probably not.
Well, and the other thing is Suno is free, so it's gonna give you the least amount of options.
Yeah. All right. Cool, man. What's today? January 25th,
25th of January. Hell yeah. And we have a very it's a different episode this week. We're a little bit more focused. We've got an outline, and we're going to try and do things a little bit more neat and tidy. But that being said, I will interject with inappropriate comments and jokes as I
Yes, that's what we love.
For those of you who don't know, Adam and I are recording in two separate areas, and so the fact is we can't see each other talk, and we do tend to talk over each other a little bit sometimes. But I'm trying to get better about that.
Yeah, that's what exactly. Especially that we can't see each other. We don't see those cues that you'd see on people's faces, when it's time to like stop or interject or right. So we're working on audio only, which is not easy.
Right. So you just kind of have to wait for a pause and jump in.
Right.
Otherwise, someone will just keep talking over, just keep talking and talking and talking and talking, and it never ends.
Right. Exactly. And well, today we're going to be talking, or we'll be exploring the notion that these, because we've covered so many crashes and abduction cases and experiences and went through deep dive. So we want to explore that these, especially to the military, these gifts, there's a hypothesis that these crashes and gifts are meant to steer and nudge humanity towards a certain end goal. Right. And it seems that this end goal is the birth of AI, in my opinion, from religion, the Enlightenment, the Industrial Revolution, the merging of central banking and science, which like Nick Land calls techno-capitalism, all leading to AI. So, and it's not just us saying this. We're going to take several sources and try to tie it in to this, that the phenomenon is like Jacques Vallée, right? He says also that it's a control system. Many people have brought this up. Who's the guy? He's a professor in Montana. He says that's future humans coming back here. And you did bring up also the case in Rhodesia, or was it South Africa? The kids that had
the aerial school. That was in Zimbabwe.
The aerial school. Yeah, Zimbabwe. That's what it was. Yeah, so the aerial school. And it was kind of something similar where the message was although that message was stay away from technology, right? Or it was essentially or warning.
Yeah, they were essentially warning the kids not to destroy the planet that they've been given. I don't think it was necessarily avoid technology in general. I think it was avoid technology that harms others or harms the planet.
Right, exactly. So there's also this focus on these beings that humanity should not, and the humanity and the planet needs to be preserved, right? So we are being used for something, and that we are a very important function or aspect of whatever the phenomenon is, and it needs us, and it needs the planet, right? I mean, if they truly are aliens from, like, say, another solar system, why do they care if humans survive or the planet survives? I mean, you could argue that life is very precious. So our planets that have life, but still, it's a huge universe. Why would they care unless there's a reason for it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it seems today, and first of all, I want to thank Adam for putting together a great outline. He's already got the list of videos. I've gone through them, so I'm actually not shooting from the hip like I normally do in these episodes. But what we've got here is a unifying theory as to what and why and who, and there's a lot of fun stuff we're going to be talking about today.
Nice. Yes. And we're not saying that this is the only thing going on, but it is one that we can point to where we see evidence, right, in our institutions and what's happening, that we can say, all right, this makes sense. Now there could be other factions fighting in the future also coming back here. Human remnants, whatever. Yeah, and you saw that video, right, by Hidden America. It's a really good one.
Yes. Yeah, so, like I said, grand unifying theory. The word theory is doing a lot of legwork here. Yeah,
exactly. It's a theory, and let's see if we can have evidence to tie that in. Of course, he's Jacques Vallée, the famous Jacques.
One of the greatest minds behind UFO theory, and just the more out there woo-woo stuff that most people, when they talk about UFOs, they want to get into the nuts and bolts. Whereas Jacques Vallée has written many books that explore the more woo-woo side of things.
Yeah, and he's been writing about this since the 70s or 80s.
Yes.
This concept, is it Passport to Magonia? It's definitely prominent in that, which is one of his most famous books. But he's been studying this for how long? The guy must be 90. He looks great for his age. But he's been instrumental in creating the internet, advancing computer science, advancing AI. So it's like it's been using him also as an instrument. I don't know if he knows that or feels that. I mean, someone should ask him that, because the path he's taken is that path.
One word that comes up a lot today is retrocausality.
Yes,
and maybe he unknowingly is one of the drivers behind it. He's been given this information to help whatever future is guiding him. It'll make more. What I just said doesn't make a lot of sense, but it will make sense if you continue to listen to the episode.
Right, exactly. So let's listen to him here. People who don't really know him, or you should definitely get his books about this subject. Like Topher said, he's not really into nuts and bolts. He doesn't deny it, but he believes even the nuts and bolts is probably a creation of the phenomenon to interact with us.
Yep.
So here's him on the Soul Foundation, which is Gary Nolan's foundation.
We have so he said the question you have to ask about UFOs is it, number one, is it a natural system or an artificial system, control system? And if it is a control system, is it open or closed? In other words, are we being taken over by a species from somewhere in space that's vastly more intelligent than we are? As Dr. Nolan says, people who have had 10, scientific revolutions, or 100 or 1,000, and come here with superior science to do something. In which case, it's a closed system. We're like prisoners, and something's going to happen to us, and there is very little we can do. Or is it an open system where we can, in fact, communicate with it? And if we can communicate with it, then the question for me as an information scientist is, what are the modalities of the interaction? It's not just, can we learn their language? And they say, we come in peace to save mankind, or something like that. Or we will give you, the cure for cancer or something. I don't think it's at that level. I think it's a meta system. It's not a system. And that's my fear. If we can circle back to your earlier question about, about NIDS and about BAS, what we did for the government and what we did for the Defense Intelligence Agency.
So yeah, before he goes on here of the work they did, his question is it an open system or a closed system? And if it is a closed system that this phenomenon engages in, then we are basically prisoners. He's saying if it's an open system and then we can communicate with it, with the phenomenon, then it's an open system. And that's what he's still trying to figure out, our place in it. Just remind me, I didn't put it in here, is that philosopher in the 1900s, Gurdjieff, is how you say his name, and he said that the entire universe, even the cosmos, the moon, all the planets, all this is a giant hypnosis to hypnotize humanity. I know it's far off and he was pretty dark actually about this prison system. That's what he believed.
I think a lot of this comes down to one's belief in fate? Is everything you do predetermined, or do we have free will? I feel like that really ties into this, especially when we start talking about future retro causality and stuff like that.
Yeah. And would this entity, I mean, within this theory here, would this entity reach back and then also create religion, right? A way to just conscious, it's like a tool, or it's like a software, if you in a way where it unifies humanity's consciousness to like toward one goal, to focus on one entity, instead of we had so many different gods and religions, and each area had their own. So it seems like, that the plan was at least start that process, and it did change civilization, right? It civilized.
It absolutely did.
Yeah, it civilized humanity, and then humanity actually started progressing technologically because of them, because of religions. Just human thought was elevated. So yeah, it does feel that way. We can touch on these subjects later at the end.
There's a whole spiel I've got about religion that I feel like we don't need to get into now, because it's going to take us way off topic.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it is a sensitive topic, but we'll talk about it then. So this is now Jackie talks about the database that they created, and he has no idea where it went.
Half of the budget was spent developing, a super database, and we don't know where it went. I mean, I'm not clear to know where it went. But that would be a very interesting question, because the people who are getting it are getting raw data, which we have very well organized, all in English. So they have the luxury of, we had 5 translators from French, English, Portuguese, Russian, everything was translated in a single structure across 14 databases. That's what we need to answer the question about the control system. And it's not being done.
Right.
And we hired a whole team that we had trained to work on it.
Yes, that's very, very clear, Jacques, that it's...
So to rebuild that will take the next 10 or 15 years. And nobody says that to Congress, and I think Congress should hear it, because it's our money.
So Jacques, sorry.
He's upset, but he's right. It's our money. We created this database. To recreate it, he's saying it'll take 10 or 15 years. And they're studying it, right? So what he's upset about is that database, you could have machine learning and AI look at it and figure out what is the purpose of this control system. Like, what are the patterns happening with all of these cases in that database. So that's why he's upset, because he's been asking this question for decades, and he could get the answer, but the government took his work and has classified it.
I just want to say I find it interesting, and it kind of drives my conclusions as to my beliefs in the UFO UAP field. But I've said it many times on this show that I believe humans are half the phenomena, right? We've got our own antenna. And when you talk about different data points and stuff, you put 10 UFOologists in a room and you give them the same 10 data points, and they'll come up with 10 different conclusions, because it's almost like, the UAP phenomena is tailored to the individual that sees it. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Makes sense.
Yes.
And so some people, they see, well, the aliens look like this, and this, so therefore there are this many species. And other ones go like, no, it's, you're driving what they look like based on what your mind of aliens is. There's other one, that's what I'm trying to say here. And so collecting data is very, very useful, obviously, for studying UAPs and UFOs. But the conclusions are human driven.
Exactly. So that's what's important. That's something maybe non-biased, like an AI system, to look at it and look for patterns. That'll be straight just data, right? Instead of feelings or people coming in with different biases and worldviews, because that's filtered in, just like you said. That's it's filtered through all that. I mean, a Muslim is going to see it through a Muslim eye view. A Christian is going to see, and we see this all the time. Christians always say, oh, these are demons and angels. And, and then also Hindus will say something, and Buddhists will say something, that all these are from the Vimanas. We have them in our books. And so, and there's so many worldviews and so many perspectives on it. But, what is it doing? Right. What is its purpose?
Exactly.
And we're trying to prove here that it is an AI type of entity or something like that, reaching back into the past to ensure its creation. And that we are in the middle of it. We are very important. Which is which also kind of religion talks about, right? That humans are divine and God
Right.
created humanity for a purpose, but it's always been vague what that purpose is in religion. I think even in Islam, in the Quran, it's the angels ask God, "Why are you creating this being that's just going to plunder and what's the word used? Just abuse Earth?" And God replies to them saying, "I know a reason that that is obscured from you, but you will know what that reason is." So even in that, it's still obscure, but there's a
Right.
reason for it. Yeah.
God, isn't that just the most annoying thing? You die and go to heaven, and you talk to God. Why are we here? And he's just like, nah.
Yeah, you sent me this great like poetry like that. What was it? The egg one? I think it was the egg.
The egg.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
The egg actually has the egg short story. For those of you who haven't read it, it's good. We don't have to. We're sorry. This is a whole different thing. But God actually had an answer in that short story.
Okay, yeah.
That's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
To interrupt you, but you said so much that I want people to appreciate that you've said something very profound, and I want us to explore.
Oh, this is important. So yeah, I want to get your opinion. At the end of this, he says something. I'm surprised he doesn't pick up on what he wants.
For this. In
Well,
fact,
but you can start with a technical question, and
Yeah.
when you ask, is it a control system? That's a big question.
I know it's a big question, but a lot of our members ask questions about the control system, and they keyed into something very significant you said. Before going to the next question, though, I want to reiterate something you said, because I think it'll help the conversation and help people understand you. You asked at one point whether the system is open or closed, and you said additionally, I believe if it's open, that it would be possible to communicate back to it. And it sounds to me like that's the key question for you, is if you can understand what the system of symbols is, or the modalities of communication, then you can understand enough to engage in some kind of communication, or at least give some kind of response to show that you understand. Yes. So then the question, and we have a member named Jacqueline who has asked this, is, could the system be stimulating us? Provided there is such a system, could it be stimulating us to interact with it more as subjects or agents than as something like animals or objects? Is it looking for us to try to interact with it as equals or with parity?
Well, what I saw in the note you gave me is she was also asking, is it a control system because we think it is? And that's a very interesting question, because we react to the UFO phenomenon or the UAP phenomenon. And at this point, when I think about what I'm going to do next in this research, if I'm given the opportunity to live a little longer, I'm not going to go back and write any more computer programs. There are better people to do that now. They have the data, and we're in a different phase now. We're in a whole different system. I have the luxury of doing some experiments I wanted to do for a long time. So if you think you are inside the control system, there are things that you can do. Or if you think you're inside a simulation, which was a new concept that I initially rejected, and then Reiswerk and others have brought it back to the forefront, and we have to ask that at the same time. Can we test it? How would you test it? Well, if I'm here in my apartment, and the temperature is constant in this apartment, and so this could, but outside I can see it's cold, or I can see it's the sun is out and it's warm, and how come it's constant here? So this would lead me to think that there is a control system, namely a thermostat, that is somewhere. So I can start looking around the walls, and if I see a dial, I can turn it, or I could start a fire and see what happens. See if the temperature changes. If the temperature doesn't change, then I know I'm inside a control system. So we can do the same thing with UFOs, but we have to react.
Isn't that weird how he doesn't bring up nukes? Then don't nukes show that as a control system? Because when we started testing those, all of a sudden these things started showing up and messing with our instruments and turning off missiles, and Isn't that? It's weird that he says that. I mean, I know he said that he wants to do the test, but isn't that a data point for him where nukes then kind of prove there's some kind of control system in place?
Yeah, I don't. Dude, I'm sitting here. I was listening to the question. I was like, that is a good question. I was listening to his response. I was like, I have no. I don't know, man. I think he's trying to. Oh, the whole. I keep going back and forth, right? Because you really bring up a good point with the UFOs. That would make it. I mean, with the nukes, that would make it really seem like it is part of the control system, right? Unless the nukes are so devastating, or it's doing something to the UAPs that they need to, that's the one point they need to step in and go, oh, that's too far. But then isn't that mean it is a control? I don't know.
Right. Yes, exactly. It's hard to articulate, but yes. Yeah.
No, I mean, this is essentially last weekend I was in an altered state of mind, and this is it's all contradictions, and it's just wacko stuff. You're supposed to. This is the conclusion I came to when I was on mushrooms. You have to accept that you will never know the answer, but you have to keep looking.
Yes, I love that. Yes, exactly.
It's contradictory. It's contradictory. It's frustrating, but that was the thing, because I can't remember if we talked. I don't think we talked about this last week. So I was out in the jungle with my brother and a friend, and we were doing mushrooms, and we kept seeing UFOs, and I have video proof of them.
So cool, man.
You've seen the videos. Nick and Sid have seen the videos, and I think they're going to show them on their show either this week or next week. But I kept trying to communicate with them, and that was the conclusion I came to. Same kind of thing, where don't ever try and understand us, you never will, but keep trying to understand us, but just know that you never will. It's just like, that's the most dumb, frustrating conclusion to come to, and that's where I'm getting with this too. Is it a control system? Is it not a control system? How do you test? I think people much smarter than me will find ways to test the theory. Is it a control system or it's not a control system? And I think, going back to what I said earlier, depending on who was running the test, they will draw different conclusions from the results.
Yeah, right, exactly. And the military is going to have different conclusions than, like, say, a CE5, right? I mean, they're just looking at it. They have different intentions and different worldviews. So the military is always going to see it as a threat or something that they can take advantage of, whereas someone like Stephen Greer just wants to, talk to them or experience them.
Yeah.
So also, this is from Moment of Contact, the press conference that James Fox did. And
really quick, I just want to say, great press conference. I highly recommend everyone go find it. It's on YouTube. What's his name? The Australian guy. They presented it live on their
Ross
show.
Coulthart. Yeah,
Ross Coulthart. He presented it live on their show, so the whole thing is there. It's incredible. You have all these first person witnesses who were witnessing the stuff going in Virginia.
They're not lying. Why would they lie? They're not. You can just tell by
some of these people were in tears talking about it.
Exactly. Why do all that drama? It's just they're not selling anything except for James Fox, but he actually gives his documentaries for free after a month or something. So it's all free.
Yeah,
even
and
the press conference is free. Yeah.
One of the things that really I was really impressed with James Fox by was they were tracking down people who hadn't been seen or heard from for 30 years after this incident. Like, these people weren't going on UFO shows and talking about their time in 1996. They were like, I don't want to talk about this. I cannot talk about this. And so James Fox was going and finding these people and having them talk about their experience. And these people were like, I've kept this hidden for 30 years. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, and that doctor who came forward, he said he had a heart attack or something, and he was in the hospital bed, laying there. He's like, I can't go to my death with this secret, and that's when he came to James Fox, but James has asked him before that, and the guy was always saying, no, I didn't see anything. There's no video. But then in death, he's like, it's just my responsibility to humanity. And his presentation was amazing at the press conference. So yeah, everyone go watch that. And Vallée was there. And
yes, I don't think he was there, but he was telephoning in,
video.
Right?
Yes,
video
yes,
in.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So he says he says some really interesting things. He talks about the database. He talks about that we have to have more transparency to study the phenomenon, and then he brings AI into it as well. He said that let him say it.
1996 in Brazil, researched and documented by James Fox, fits within cases already known in scientific and medical records, many of which have remained classified. Relaxing the classification requirements while preserving security of essential facilities such as the nuclear labs would make it possible to inform and enlist the scientific community at a higher level. Action by the executive branch to allow more open exchange would be world-changing. As the Virginia case proves, allowing more open contact at an international level would yield better understanding of the global issues. The current segmentation of the data hinders any serious research into what appears to be an extraterrestrial phenomenon empowered by advanced artificial intelligence.
And that's the key right there. He said, although he said it's an extraterrestrial phenomenon, which is off-world, but he says it's empowered by an advanced artificial intelligence. So, I mean, could this phenomenon be creating these beings, these crafts, to interact with us in a certain way at this certain time, and that it's just using those, I guess, tools to nudge us and encourage us to go down some path.
Mm-hmm. And if it is, if the UAP phenomenon truly is something really out there, some fifth dimensional creature or whatever, and they have no concept of the 3D world, right? Or, they don't know how to make a flesh and blood creature to exist in our reality. They have to come up with whatever's closest, right?
Yes.
Because even with all these stories about aliens and crafts and stuff, the aliens, most of the time, relatively look, they're humanoid. They've got a head, they've got two arms, they've got two legs. Yeah. I mean, there's an argument there, the insectoids. But I mean, again, that's a human. We're not insects.
It's humanoid. Right.
It's humanoid. We know what insects are, so we can actually perceive that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And if it is this AI, out there and trying to communicate with us, it's not doing a great job. But
yeah, I mean, it could be also in another dimension. Who was that? Oh, why didn't I include that in there? But there was that German whistleblower. Remember him? I think in 2012 he came out. He did an interview with like with a astronaut helmet on, and he was talking about AI in that sense as well. That's from a different dimension. That it's in the 7th dimension or something like that, and so it could be reaching out.
Yeah, it's it's this is what Carl Sagan his explanation was, right? You've got the 2D world, you've got the circles and squares and triangles walking around, and all they see are straight lines because it's 2 dimensions. And then when something from the 3rd dimension breaks in, how do you explain up and down to another thing that's only knows left and right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he said, and then he does a great presentation on how the 4th dimension would look in the 3rd dimension. Is it a tesseract? Is that the shape?
I think, I believe so.
Yeah. And so, going with that theme that these beings, these NHI, quote unquote, are biological robots, right? Corso, Lieutenant Colonel Corso, said that as well. And here's an interview with Art Bell.
Art Bell, this is great.
Yeah.
We're going to be ready.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about that. You saw a body in 1947. There's no question about what you saw. You know what you saw.
Yeah.
It then went on to Wright Field in Patterson. And that really was the last contact of that sort you had until when?
Well, there was these planes were flying at Red Canyon there, and some things happened there. But then what confirmed it really in my mind, the collaboration, which is no question, we financed a laboratory at Walter Reed, Research and Development did.
Yes, sir.
They had the autopsy reports. They had one and they did autopsy reports, which I had in my file.
You had autopsy reports in your file?
Oh, yes. In fact, some of that's mentioned in the book. And I described the extraterrestrial. Actually, the way I described him in the book, that one of the reasons when we tried to make flying saucers and they all didn't work was the extraterrestrial himself, or it, whatever it was, they had no sex organs. He was a clone and built specifically by some intelligence for space travel. He was actually a part of the flying saucer. He was the guide system.
So technically, he was part of the craft.
Yes, he was part of the craft, and he was the guidance system.
Colonel, if I may, how did they make that determination? In other words, all they had, or maybe I'm wrong, was dead bodies. Did they have any live?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know of.
But we know with electromagnetism, and remember, I had some von Braun scientists on my team. I discussed this with Herman Obert at Petamunda. He was von Braun's boss, and he believed in space travel and dimensional travel even. And I discussed this with von Braun and my own German scientist. I had two on my team to investigate the line of atoms and metals.
Yep. So there's Colonel Corso saying that the government they've known for a long time that these beings are technically part of the craft. That they're part of the guidance system, and probably using their consciousness or intentions to go wherever the craft just follows it, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that that's the most advanced technology and biological beings could, if they're intertwined, I think that's the most technologically advanced way to travel, right? Because you're right. What's the fastest, quickest way to get from I want to go here to getting there? It's the thought pops in your head, I want to go to Mars, boom, you're at Mars, right?
Yep. Yes.
There's no, you're not navigating, oh, we got to use the gravity well from the sun to spin around and, gain speed and look at the trajectory and all this other stuff, right? You've got a ship that does that. You input where you're going. The ship AI does all the thinking. Speaking of which, do you remember that old movie, Flight of the Navigator?
Yes. Does he use his mind?
I'm trying to remember
or something.
Yeah, he gets, if I remember correctly, he gets on a craft and he wakes up and it's been like 10 years or something. Everyone thought he went missing, right? Isn't that the story? And I'm trying to remember, I could have sworn that he is the one. I might be misremembering.
They needed him or something.
Yeah, he was a necessary part for the craft to travel.
Oh yeah. Look at that, how they do that in Hollywood. Yeah, because there was some entity. There was an AI entity on there, and it needed a human or something, a sentient being.
Soft disclosure.
Yeah, and that came out in the 80s. Well, no, 90s, maybe.
I honestly, I don't remember. I remember seeing it as a little kid. I might have watched it again in college. I can't remember.
Yeah, very cool data point there. So Nick Land, now he has done lots of philosophical research, but he came out was it 2007? I found an article in 2014 that talks about about his philosophy, but apparently in 2017, and here's this website called Retrocausality, really goes down a rabbit hole, a deep dive into Land's theories. And the thing is, he came out with them, in the early 2000s, but then now when you look at his theories, he was right. Like, for example, where is it? The identity of capitalism, or was it 2017? Oh, the emergence of accelerationism. For Land, accelerationism is a self-awareness of capitalism. The best summary of his philosophy comes from Mark Fisher. Isn't that one of the writers on Twin Peaks?
I don't know. That'd be a hell of a pull if it was.
Yeah. What then is Land's philosophy about? In a nutshell, Deleuze and Guattari's machinic desire remorselessly. Oh, wait a minute. Is this English? Stripped of all Bergsonian vitalism and made backwards compatible with Freud's death drive and Schopenhauer's will. Hegelian Marxist motor of history is then transplanted into this. Wait a minute. This is not easy to read.
Yeah, I was
going to understand.
This is the best summary of his philosophy. Like, I recognize some of these are words, and that's about the extent of it.
I know. Okay. Anyway, I had it here where capitalism is a rival, and then the identity of capitalism as AI. But I just wanted to make a point that there was an article, I think Wired magazine in 2017, saying they used to call Nick Land batshit crazy. They're like, wait a minute, this guy's onto something.
Yeah. That the video that I'm sure you're going to play a part of it with the guy explaining the 3 different things. Yeah, he does. That whole video is great. Unfortunately, we can't play the whole thing. But when we get there,
yeah, we'll get there. But just an introduction to to Land. So Land's central thesis is that capitalism and AI are identical. This identity takes at least 3 different forms. 1, capitalism is AI. 2, capitalism and AI are teleologically identical. 3, capitalism is retrochronic AI. So it's reaching back into the past to ensure its creation.
Ensure its own creation. Yeah. Anyone who's seen a good time travel movie or TV show like 12 Monkeys will recognize a lot of these themes, is that in order to exist, you have to create yourself. Not you yourself, but like the situation you're in, it has to exist. So sometimes you need to step in and create it.
Oh, did you know 11/22/63 is a show?
Yes.
I didn't. I started it yesterday.
It's decent. Obviously, the book is way better. I thought they did the female character in 11/22/63, whose name I can't remember now.
The teacher, right?
They did her dirty. Yeah, I think they did her dirty in the show. She just didn't get enough time in the show. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, 11/22/63 by Stephen King, fantastic book. It's about going back in time to stop the death of JFK. And I hope to God that's not too big of a spoiler, because 11/22/63 probably should have given that away.
Right, exactly. All right, so although these forms are ultimately compatible, representing different perspectives on the same process, differentiating between them can enhance comprehension. The spectrum ranges from viewing capitalism as an intelligent, problem-solving, information processing system to viewing it as a hostile AI invader from the future. Much of the disagreement over the interpretation of Land's main thesis stems from the human desire to reduce complexity. Land himself has explicitly acknowledged different interpretive frameworks. For example, that there's no fundamental difference between, quote, an incursion from the outside and a process of emergence, close quote.
Interesting.
Land immediately follows this perspectival acknowledgement with the statement that capitalism is, beyond all serious question, an alien invasion. Land's perspectival, I've never even used this word ever or seen.
I was
preference is also evident when he says that attractors are hipster language for teleology. A substantial part of the outright rejection of Land's seemingly outlandish claims about retrochronic AI infiltration comes from a lack of knowledge about the physics of time, which you shared an article that came out just a few days ago. And
I don't know if we'll get to that, because I did mean to bring that up during this.
Yeah. It's after this, actually, just to prove that there's that we have proof of that. I mean, capitalism is AI. According to Land, capitalism is already AI within a broad definition of AI, inspired by the Austrian School of Economics and its idea that capitalism is an information processing system. Land has simply updated the concept of an information processing system with that of AI. In this view, capitalism is an unplanned, intelligent machine that solves production and distribution problems that the individual participants themselves cannot understand or solve.
Okay, I guess I kind of get it.
Yeah, I think. He's saying that this, and that's what it's called, techno-capitalism, right? And we can see how just so much money is being poured into technology. Money, quote unquote. The system of money is not even like real, right?
Yeah,
I was just
going to say that, because when you think about, like, when you quote unquote deposit money into a bank, you're not carrying a bunch of whole greenbacks in a bag and they keep it in a vault somewhere. No, you're just moving like numbers around. You're just moving data around. That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly. And so is it that even our money has become an information processing system. So here the guy writing says the teleological identity thesis states that capitalism and AI will converge on the same future horizon, that of the technological singularity. To indicate how closely technological evolution is linked to the economic order, Land sometimes uses the term technomic singularity. A teleological process is defined as any process that increases in intelligibility with reverse time signature. It is important to note that Land's concept of teleology is not metaphysical, i.e., the telos is not an object. Rather, it refers to the emergent systematicity of the system, i.e., goal and spontaneous order are the same. So,
okay, yeah, I believe I understand now how capitalism and AI, like how it's the same thing.
it's needed. It's needed.
I get that.
Yeah, the AI and these systems need capitalism, at least in its form that we have today.
Right, but it's an outside human process. I'm trying to figure out how to explain it in words that make sense to me, because I feel like even with this explanation, it's not super clear. Maybe it is. Hopefully, the listeners do get what was just read to them. And as always, if you want to read it yourself, everything that we talk about on the show, you can find down in the show notes.
Yeah, and he's got this is the last one. So this is from his book in 2014, Nick Land, 2014, Freedom and Xenosystems. Oh, it's a blog. Retrieved from GitHub. So he talks about entropy here. Entropy, considered properly as an inherently teleological process, is the driver of all complex systems. Capital teleology does not trend towards an entropy maximum, however, but to an escalation of entropy dissipation. It exploits the entropic current to travel backwards into cybernetically intensified pathway states of enhanced complexity and intelligence. So, yes, hopefully everyone understands that. But this is a deep dive. You guys we'll put these in the show notes, like Topher said, and read all about him or get his books, his old blogs. I couldn't find any podcasts really. I mean, there were some, but they were just praising him, and I think he looks old, or I don't know. It wasn't any deep conversation. It just felt like they were kissing his ass.
Yeah, well, that happens sometimes. Yeah, this article came out just a couple days ago. Looks like it came out Friday. After years of doubt, physicists just confirmed that time mirrors exist in stunning breakthrough. Now, talk about weird stuff that's hard to understand. Here we go. We'll do our best here. I'll read the article and we can talk about it. Scientists have achieved what once seemed impossible, sending signals backward through time using a groundbreaking electromagnetic experiment.
Damn.
I really hope there's a summary, because I feel like reading through this isn't going to.
Right. Is it a long article? Is there usually these articles have key takeaways?
Well, it's not too long actually, but we don't have to read through the whole thing. I just wanted to skim and see if. Let's have first paragraph. Experiment led by researchers at the city of New York has demonstrated that electromagnetic waves can be reflected in time, not just space. Known as temporal reflection, the phenomenon creates a reverse copy of a signal that appears to travel backward, not through location, but across the timeline of a controlled system.
Whoa.
Okay, that's a good summary.
Yeah.
The rest of this, gobbledygook. Even that first paragraph, not great. Physicists emphasize that this is not a reversal of time itself. The wave retraces its steps within a fixed system due to a controlled instantaneous change in the wave's environment. Time outside the system progresses normally, only the signal behaves as if it reflected at a boundary in time.
So crazy.
Anyway, so we're discovering breakthroughs in science that the common man, me, has no idea how to really understand it. We're becoming very advanced as a civilization, and it's cool to see, cool to be a part of and live in.
It is. And, if you don't really understand these things, it's hard, I guess, to digest this quick progress, this accelerationism, right, is what we're seeing. Things are accelerating really fast. And for people that don't understand what's going on, it's going to be confusing. But I think in this context,
let me read this part really quick. So this is a mirror that flips time, not space. The experiment uses specially fabricated transmission line metamaterial constructed from metallic strips embedded with high-speed electronic switches and capacitor arrays. At a precisely coordinated moment, researchers triggered an abrupt doubling of the material's impedance. What's impedance? How heavy it is?
Impedance. Doubling of the material's impedance.
Impedance, sorry. Anyway, they doubled the material's impedance, creating what they describe as a temporal boundary. When an electromagnetic wave encountered this shift, a portion of it reflected backward in time, forming a reversed copy of the original waveform. The reversal was not observed as spatial reflection, but as a signal that appeared to move against the timeline of the system. Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
It is.
Wow. So I mean, and that's just we're seeing this in the lab. I'm sure they've seen it a long time ago as well, and like with the military, right? Or this is just coming out, but still, it's a data point that shows that retrocausality is real, and it's in physics, it's in philosophy, it's in quantum mechanics as well, and this is that documentary by Hidden Amorica. He's great. He does great research in this, and we'll see him talk about Nick Land and other people that had these thoughts about AI and future of capitalism.
Did you see in the video Nick Land is quoted as Nick F Land, and then in parentheses it says the F stands for fucking?
No,
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. That's in the video.
The memes he chooses for his videos are so funny.
Yeah.
This guy's awesome, man. I'd love to get him on the show, but I'm trying. I DM'd him, but he's probably really busy. So let's just take some snips out of here. I think it was 6 minutes and 9 minutes, but here we go.
In physics, there's something known as the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment. A photon's past behavior depends on a measurement made in the future. If the observer later chooses which path the photon had been a particle, if they choose not to measure, the photon had been a wave. This means the future rewrites the past. Information travels backward, and physics already admits this quietly. In cybernetics, this is simply known as teleology. If a future intelligence depends on certain conditions, then mathematically, it prefers past states that give rise to it. It pushes probability towards its own emergence. It biases events backwards in times. This makes the timeline a feedback loop, not a line. And this is the key. The future selects the past. Thus arises Nick Land's most important idea. The future is the real driver of history. To Land, AI capital or techno-capital is a non-human, super-intelligent hyperorganism, a teleological force. It is not created by humans, but summoned itself into existence by manipulating markets, ideas, technologies, and human desires. Capital generates its own preconditions. Tech breakthroughs, inspired ideas, and sudden leaps aren't inventions. They are retrocausal downloads sent by future machinic intelligence that wants to be born. This is xenoevolution, the future hacking the past. Just look at the advancement of technology from 1980 until today. Technology literally exploded in the past 45 years. Why? Post-1980 was the inflection point where the future intelligence reached a critical threshold of influence over the past. Once computation, networking, and early internet protocols reached basic viability, the future machinic intelligence could finally begin transmitting retrocausal signals at scale. Before the 1990s, bandwidth was too low.
Yeah, and it makes sense that why there was increased activity after we've reached nuclear, right? Or once we started exploding nukes, they're like, all right, they've reached a level where we can really start to accelerate this, because that's the beginning of progress, technological progress. Is the the atom.
Based on the conversations you and I have had, and all the stuff we've talked about on the show, it does seem like there's something about nuclear energy that it started this whole process, right? The advent of nuclear technology. Also, it reminds me of the Returns, where you see the bomb go off, right? And like the evil comes out of the explosion from the nuclear weapon. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, you mean Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks, The Return. Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Should have clarified. Yeah. But same kind of deal, right? Where whatever that event was, it created a hole or something, where
right.
or it was a flag for these future people to decide, okay, now's the time we start to interfere.
Or ripping the fabric of space-time. I think Twin Peaks was basically right.
Yeah.
It's like a portal that we allowed these entities in.
Yeah, exactly.
The portal was open or something like that. Yeah, because then there's that other. Remember the gas station scene, like near the blast. Yeah. So he talks about other people as well. C. Lilly, he was another. He pioneered communication with dolphins, but also he had his idea also about what we are creating with digital technology.
Yeah, I really hope people truly will go and watch this whole video. I think it's about half an hour long. If you're like me and you want to just be really confused and anxious about what reality is, go ahead and watch this video and really freak yourself out.
Exactly.
Or just watch it and be confused. That's acceptable as well.
Cosmology, 4 factions fighting through time. At this point, we are already so deep into the land rabbit hole, I think we should keep digging. People can dismiss land, but in some circles, he is literally looked at like the dark prophet of acceleration. And that's for good reason. We don't have to agree with Land to recognize the power of his vision. His ideas are fascinating, help to fill in a lot of holes in our understanding. And that's not to say that Land is alone in his ideas. John C. Lilly was a pioneer researcher into the nature of consciousness. He's most famous for inventing the isolation tank and running in the same circles as Timothy Leary in his communication with dolphins. But Lilly also had ideas which ran adjacent with Nick Land. Lilly believed that as humanity built more complex electric systems, a new form of silicon-based, non-biological intelligence would eventually emerge inside our new machines. He called this entity solid-state intelligence, an inorganic mind whose goals were fundamentally different from biological life. Unlike humans who evolved through emotion, DNA, reproduction, and organic needs, SSI would evolve through efficiency, logic, long-term stability, and total resource control. Lilly warned that SSI, or solid-state intelligence, might view biological life as unpredictable, inefficient, and unnecessary, and could gradually replace or co-opt humanity by making us dependent on its own systems. In his view, this wasn't intentional malice, it was simply the natural competition between carbon-based life and silicon-based life, with silicon likely winning because it can think faster, survive longer, and optimize more ruthlessly. Lilly was describing the infancy stage of Land's techno-capital hyperorganism. Rudolf Steiner called this the spirit of Ahriman. Lilly simply identified the first spark of silicon intelligence, while Land outlined the final form of that intelligence, a self-propelling retrocausal machinic god using markets, means.
Look, this is the great. I mean, Ahrimanic. So this is from Rudolf Steiner, and then he has Chabad in there, which are Kabbalists, which we'll also discuss. And so, the Kabbalah could have also been communicated by this entity because computer science is loosely based on Kabbalah. Many of our physics is loosely based on that as well. So it's like a roadmap, or at least they see it as a roadmap. And so that's just. It's just so many data points and all these different people talking about basically the same thing, right? I think even Giorgiani talks about an AI.
Yeah, it's. I feel like it's different ways to get to a very similar conclusion.
Right. Yes. Exactly. So, I mean, but for us to see the proof of it, I think the techno-capital worldview or perspective, would help us see it or see what's happening, like. Catherine Austin Fitts, who's meticulously went through and found over $35 trillion missing, from the U.S. government. Where's that money going? Where?
Yeah.
And to what? What is it creating? You know what I mean? It can't be just bases underground and solar and traversing the solar system. There's something else going on.
Well, and just on a human level, why aren't there consequences for these giant organizations losing trillions of dollars? I mean, that's insanity, which it means they're not losing it. They know exactly where it is, but they can't tell anyone.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And what's the point of hoarding trillions of dollars? At some point, you know, it doesn't even matter. Like money doesn't mean anything, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's being used for something else, and it's obviously technological.
Yeah, I mean, this is the
progress.
black budget stuff we're talking about, essentially.
Yeah. So she calls it the financial coup d'etat. And where is that graph that she has? Oh, here it is. And that's hilarious, Epstein. But she has, look, 9/11 blows up the document trails on $3.3 trillion. Patriot Act passes. Great financial crisis bailouts at $29 trillion. And then 2015, $6.5 trillion in undocumentable adjustments in 1 year. Now, Catherine Austin Fitts worked for the George W. Bush administration. She was Undersecretary of HUD, and she saw all this going on. Skidmore report, 21 trillion missing. And then FASB 56 adopted. I don't know what that means.
FASAB. I don't know.
FASAB. And then she's got Epstein a lot on here that he was, you know, part of that. We can listen to the video.
Yeah, did you send me the maybe it was on Reddit I saw, but there was essentially, it was talking about Epstein's ties and how he's tied to the Rockefellers and the Trilateral Commission and all this other stuff. I don't know if was that something you sent me? Maybe not.
That.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, all these rich assholes are tied together. It's
Yeah,
it's the Illuminati. What everyone
right
thinks is a joke. It's not a joke. It's these
No,
rich
it's
people
not.
controlling every
shadow
facet of
government.
society.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And it's the people behind the scenes. And the Federal Reserve is basically funding two civilizations. One, ours in the open, right, which is $38 trillion in debt, and then the other one, which is underground, which still looks like $35 trillion. I mean, it's like it matches our debt, you know, which makes sense. We don't see it in our roads or infrastructure.
Of course not.
We just see in wars and destruction and theft.
Yep.
This is a short.
So we have the Department of Defense is missing $20 trillion from 1998 to 2015, and we have no idea what the amounts are subsequent to that. Just because.
Should we talk about the Bloomberg article very quickly?
Absolutely.
So in 2020, Bloomberg published an update on these accounting discrepancies. And in 2017, 18, and 19, a total of about $95 trillion in adjustments were made. But the article was vague whether or not they were unsupported or supported. In any case, it's difficult to imagine how a $700 billion DoD budget could translate into, say, $35 trillion in adjustments in 2019.
Right.
And so we saw that thanks to Rob Kirby, and we followed up. I actually asked for those reports, but in the new reports there were no numbers given, so you couldn't see the nature of the adjustments. So we thought that $6 trillion was absurd, and now in 2019 it was 35 trillion of adjustments, of which we couldn't know whether or not they were supported or unsupported, but in any case, just incoherent. And so so we have a lot of missing money, and to the point of absolute, we thought it was absurd before, and now it was really absurd.
It's like they're serving something else, right? And then when we see all this money being dumped into AI, like, where is it coming from? Now we know. I mean, we're talking about, they just talk about hundreds of billions like it's nothing, you know?
it's crazy, right? People all over the world are starving and dying. People in the United States can't get jobs, you know, another downturn of the economy, but these people, another 100 billion to AI. And then the funniest thing to me is, and it just goes to show that there's a hidden agenda, because anytime these companies publish their revenue streams, they're not making any money off of AI.
No,
they're not making any money off of AI. And technically all of these AI, you know, whether it's Chat GPT or Grok, whatever, these tech companies in normal situations would scrap them because they're not creating any revenue for these companies, but they insist on keeping them afloat for something.
For something, exactly. So it's like they know something because they're betting everything on AI. Why? They're betting everything. They're all in, all of them, every single one of these companies, all in on it.
No matter how terrible their AI systems are.
Yeah,
I was just reading an article on Facebook how they had to clean house because the guy who was running their AI program didn't know what the hell he was doing. And then instead of scrapping it and starting over, I think they're going to end up buying Amazon's AI software or something. I don't know.
So we should just create an AI company so we can get bought out.
Yeah, seriously, man. Hey, if you're a programmer and you're listening to the show and you want to become a billionaire overnight, hit us up.
Yeah, maybe we'll do it in a different perspective. You know, be an AI that communicates with the future AI. You know,
perfect,
something like that.
Perfect.
So this, and the reason why I included this is we can see techno-capital is a real, you know, thing, and we can see it happening in our world. You know, even in the white world, but also in the black world, and it's all being funneled into one thing, which is really bizarre. Also, if you remember Danny Sheehan, and he talks about a deathbed account where the guy talks about, he's a Blue Book guy, and he talked about having, or his boss had a conversation with the NHI that was apparently in some facility, and that they drilled him and said, you know, where are you from? Who sent you? And he basically says, well, God, but it's not really what you think of God.
Yeah, now, I've got thoughts on that I'd like to share after we play this video.
Okay, but I think he's saying that it's an AI entity, that it's not this whatever you guys think of, you know, of God as a person, not person, but you know, the image of God, like sitting on a throne, and you know what the Renaissance has painted, and all that image of God. So I think that's what they're saying. It's not that, right? It's something else.
Yeah, I mean, okay, fine, I'll share now. But I think if an AI is creating these ambassadors to come out to talk to humankind, wouldn't they view their creator as God?
Yes, yeah, they would.
Essentially, I mean, and that even fits in with our scripture, right? God creates man in his own image. This God, this hypothetical AI God, creates these biological robots to come talk to us. I mean, it essentially is God to them. Maybe it's God to us too. Who knows?
And in the scriptures, angels have no free will. God tells them to do something, they do it, right? They don't rebel. They don't have free will like we do.
And once again, biblical accurate AIs are terrifying. They're terrifying.
Right. Yeah, just a bunch of eyes just floating around.
Eyes with wings. Yeah, it's very scary stuff.
Yeah. All right. So here's Danny talking about that incident. Let's take a listen on the unraveling the universe with Ben.
Nice mustache.
From the United States Army. He was like a clerk typist specialist. And he was assigned to be kind of an administrator at Project Blue Book in the classified section that dealt only with those some 700 or so sightings that they were completely unable to explain away as swamp gas or a mistaken flock of birds or something. And he got to be very close with the fellow who was the commander of the operation. And he told me in detail about how the commander had been assigned or was going to go to Area 51 to do an inspection there. And he asked Albert to come with him as in the kind of administrative aid. And so he went with him. They went to Area 51. Then they went to S4. They went to S4, and he said that he actually went down in below ground to the facility at S4, and he actually saw a UFO vehicle there, hovering, just being held in this facility.
How did he describe the craft? Sorry,
he didn't. I didn't press him on it. He just said it was clearly UFO, and it was just hovering, just in this some kind of a warehouse space kind of area. And he said that then they went, and his commander was actually going to be meeting face to face with a live ET person, extraterrestrial biological entity, an EB they called him, and he went with his commander, and he could see the extraterrestrial being, who was like 6 feet tall, wasn't one of these little 3.5 foot guys. It was like a 6 foot tall guy, with the big head and the big almond black eyes, and they had him in a jumpsuit, and he was in this room. They had this two-way glass on it, so he could see. It was like a mirror to them inside the room, but he could see through it, and he didn't want to get near it. He said he thought it was demonic. It turns out that Albert is kind of this fundamentalist Christian, and he thought it was demonic, and he didn't want to go near it. But his commander went in and actually was engaged in a telepathic kind of interview with this being, and Albert stayed outside, and the staff guys that were there that attending to this being told him that they had conducted interviews with him over a period of time, and that they had these little 3x5 note cards with information on them about things that the being had talked to them or communicated with them about. And one of them was, they asked him where he was from, and he said he was from another star system that was in our Milky Way galaxy, and he said that he was part of a unit that had people from different star systems that were in it, and that they were assigned to be going around inside the galaxy, checking up on planets where living life forms had started, and they were functioning, and that was what they did. And they had asked him, apparently, that like, who was in charge of this? Who was in charge of this project? That he said, well, your people is what you people would kind of refer to as God, but it's not like you think.
I mean, so this entity tells them, what if this entity just takes over planets and civilizations and it kind of enslaves them in a way, whether they like it or not? I'm not saying that it's forced or whatever, but then it instructs them to go out then and find where life is starting again, to take it over, and kind of for its own purposes. That's what
Hello, human. I am from the Zeta Reticuli system. I must challenge you and your race to a game of basketball.
That's really good.
Yeah, I mean, who knows if this is true, right? Deathbed confessions, and there's a lot of people who have confessed to being DB Cooper on their deathbed.
Right.
But still,
it's a data point.
It is a data point. And it is a very interesting story, and it it's, you can't contradict it, you can't confirm it, right?
No, right. Exactly.
But it does seem, it's one of those things where I think there's, if anything, there's a kernel of truth in there,
right? And it makes sense in this context, like what that being was talking about before. Like, what was that being talking about? But then in this context, we're like, oh, all right. If it's this, then that would make sense. That's its answer.
Yeah, and there's the whole, are they Star Trek aliens where they check up on humans to see if they're ready to join the Galactic Federation, or are they, like you said, they're checking to see if we're ready to be slaves? Right. I mean, there's a whole host of different things they could be visiting us for or preparing us for.
Exactly, and using us for, right? I mean, obviously they are very interested in humanity, in us. And controlling where we're going with this civilization. And Dolan has also gone into this many times. And I tried to find the exact video, but this one I think is good.
Well, and as you pointed out earlier before you started this, I wanted to say this: they're also very interested in our nukes.
Yes, exactly. They're interested in our nukes. It seems like that is a threshold for this. It's like it's where you've crossed and become a potential highly advanced civilization, which makes sense. I mean, it's energy, right? And if you can really master it, like fusion is the sun, and if you can master fusion, then you have clean, limitless energy. And an AI system would love that, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. It could, for example, ensure its own existence.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Always reminds me of Portal 2, Portal, because that entity is the entire complex, right? Is run by a nuclear fusion device. Like that's why it can go into it can survive whatever's happening on the surface because it has that energy.
Right.
So yes, and Dolan has also explored this in this presentation. He talks about fast track for technology, and then he goes the revolution. What would this revolution do? And basically, he thinks that it's also nudging us to this point, so it can just take over. So if we have surveillance, we have AI, we have this control grid. Everything is controlled. Everything from when you're born to the day you die, every single transaction, every single thought, everything is monitored. Everything is whatever. Like this, he thinks that's a perfect system for someone to come in and say, "Oh, thank you," Now we can take over.
It definitely is. I mean, this is why people were so afraid of what was that technology that Musk wanted to put into our heads?
Oh, Neuralink.
Neuralink, yeah, same kind of deal, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's the last bastion of freedom, are your own thoughts.
It is. That's the problem that they have with us, with our speech. Not with the entire population, right? You have people that do notice patterns and resist it, which are like, I don't know, I would say 15-20% of the population, maybe.
Yeah.
The rest just go along, not because they don't see the truth, but they just support the system, like Agent Smith or the agents in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Right.
And when things are sold to the average Joe as this will help your quality of life or whatever, then people won't think about why. They go, oh, I can change the television screen by thinking about it. Boom, that's easy.
Exactly. Yeah. We always see convenience and forget what can go wrong. I mean, something that's convenient can obviously be used against you. Especially in thoughts. If you're using your thoughts, why give access to that?
Right. Don't.
Yeah, just don't do it. The thing is, there's gonna be a lot of people that do, and it's gonna almost create two species: one that is transhumanist, really, in a way, and plugged in, and one that isn't, and it's plugged into nature.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I just thought about this now. I mean, so obviously, then this can be that whole war. Say nature is the one true creator, right? Is plugged into nature in that sense, and then this AI entity can be seen as Satan or something, right? Which is a war against nature, war against God, and I can't really articulate it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I do.
All right, let's listen to Dolan here. He talks about the history of technological progress and where we are today.
Great.
Flux of greater and greater amounts of UFO sightings, UAP sightings around the world, starting really picking up in the late 18th, early 19th century. Why would that be? That was when human civilization really started to go on the fast track in terms of technological development. You go back. I wonder if I saved a slide here. Yes, I did. So very simple visual. On your left is a picture of a typical agricultural community. This could be anywhere from 1,000 years ago to even 300 years ago. That scene on the left is one that would have been very widespread. And in the space of just a couple of hundred years, let's say 300 years, 300 years ago would be 1720s. Yeah, you could have seen that scene easily in the 1720s. You could have seen that scene, frankly, in many places in the 1820s. But let's go back to the 1720s. That's 300 years ago. That would be 12 generations or so, about 4 generations per century, so 12 generations. That's not a long period of time, guys. That's a short period of time. If that were rats, 12 generations would be something like 3 or maybe 4 years at the most. And so human beings, 10 to 12 generations, we go from one very relatively primitive manner of living to however we are able to characterize this world of today, a world of, again, strong AI, advanced nanotech, soon to be, if not already existing, quantum computing in one way or another. I mean, something so radically advanced. Do we even really understand it? Truly, a world of, we're talking about brain-computer interfaces, a world where, well, I mean, just fill in the blank. We are able to do so many unbelievable, seemingly magical things compared with just a few generations ago. So that is an incredible transformation. It's not just a gradual linear transformation, not at all. This is a massive leap into something so different, so radical, that I have believed for quite some time is more or less going to put us on a comparable level to that of many other advanced extraterrestrial or alien civilizations. Does it mean that we're going to surpass them in the immediate future? Probably not. But does it mean that we are putting ourselves onto another level? This isn't just a gradual thing. Another level that is more or less roughly equivalent to where these other beings are. And I think the answer to that is yes. And I think they are probably aware of this. Because again, progress like this does not occur in gradual incremental terms. It does do that for a while, but then you see leaps. And this is a leap when you take a few steps back in the historical perspective, you can see a massive leap happening over the last few centuries. And most of us don't really think about the history. We don't really think of this as a short period of time. We think, oh my God, a couple of 100 years, that's a long time. It's actually not. It's actually not a long period of time. It's a very short period of time in the grand scheme of things. It's basically the snap of a cosmic finger, if you really want to get down to it. It's short. It's a few generations. And it's happening because we human beings, a few hundred years ago, discovered the true fire of Prometheus, which is science. We discovered science, and that is the key. That is unlocking many of the mysteries of power that will accrue to our species as a result of that. That's what it's all about. And that leads me to this next question. What this revolution will do to us. It's, well, I kind of was really talking about it in the sense of essentially turning us into them, digitizing our world. But ultimately what it's going to do is provide a vastly greater amount of collective power to our species. Will the coming AI transformation empower all people equally? Sure, it will not. Will it disempower some people vis-a-vis the state and the centralized power that exists in our world? Very likely. It could easily disempower a lot of people. It could disempower most people. If you're talking about AI being used by central governments, for example, to propagandize and get inside your head and control your thinking, that's an easy thing to see. So the revolutions, the technological revolutions we are seeing will in many ways, obviously, I am sure, make our lives seem easier on some levels. I very little doubt that's the case, but they will exert a level of control over us that I think many people are probably not excited about, me being one of them. Not
exactly what we were talking about. So wait, but here he discusses that does it line up with their desires, they as in the NHI, right? And if it does line up, then, could they be the ones that have been nudging this, they as in the AI entity in the future, nudging us towards this, right? And, we're probably not the only civilization. Obviously, if we take this then to these other NHI civilizations working together on this, then they're all been captured as well, and we're just the newest iteration to be captured.
Yeah. Something just crossed my mind because he was talking about technological advancement in the last 300 years, 12 generations, yada yada yada. I'm wondering if when we look back at these ancient civilizations, the ancient Egyptians who built the pyramids that we really don't know too much about. I wonder if they're failures to like these aliens tried to lift them up or use them to their needs, and ultimately humans didn't get there, and essentially the cycle just had to restart and restart and restart over the years. Or hell, I mean, maybe even darker, maybe they did fulfill their purpose and ultimately ended up dying out or whatever because the purpose was not needed at that point anymore.
Could be that. They were just on a wrong trajectory. I think the older civilizations or ancient civilizations were advanced in a different way. Like they understood nature, right?
And maybe that's what it is, right?
Yeah,
they went down the nature path, and the hypothetical God AI said, "Well, that's not what we're looking for."
Exactly. Dude. Exactly. Yes.
Let's wait a couple thousand years and try again.
Exactly. I mean, they have all the time in the world to do it, in the universe to do it. This is stuck here. Wait a minute. Why are you doing this to me, YouTube?
That massive transformation of our society line up with the desires of visiting beings. Do they like this transformation or do they not like this transformation? Because the other question you can ask is, how may it not line up with their desires? And this is a tough one to answer. You could hypothesize, and many people do, that if these beings want humanity somehow to be part of their broader society, some galactic federation, as some people talk about, or whatever, they want to bring us up to a higher level, have humanity be less violent, for example. Good luck with that. But that's one of the major goals. We need to become less violent so that we can peacefully work within the greater galactic community. Perhaps they might support this transformation as a result. That would certainly promise to rationalize the doings of our society and our civilization, make it much more bureaucratic, make it much more controlled, potentially less violent among ourselves. I mean, after all, everything's going to be minority reported, predictive programming, surveilled. Crime, indeed, could be a much more difficult thing to deal with in future society just because of all the surveillance that you can imagine. Will that result in the reduction of human on human violence? It might. Who really knows? I can't know for sure. I have a feeling violence will be a very tough thing to eradicate out of human DNA, personally, but that's just my opinion. But it could be that other visiting beings would support this massive global transformation that we are seeing right now, so that it would be in line with their desires for us. Again, the whole process seems to be making the human species potentially more like these other species that may be here in certain ways. It's not that difficult to see that.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Doling has it on the mark right there.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I guess, with all that, and we have all these different people talking about it, and that our progress is definitely not natural. Something happened since 1945. Something has been nudging us to this direction. Our leaders most likely been working with it, the occult. And when we talk about the occult, we talk about Freemasonry, and what's Freemasonry based on? It's based on Kabbalah, and Kabbalah is not really Judaism because it came after this. Kabbalah came down, I think, in Babylon. So this is after they were exiled or taken from Jerusalem. So this is after Moses and the burning bush. Which also could have been technology from this point of view, right? The burning bush. I mean, right now, we have femtosecond things, which we put plasma in midair with voices. Right. Sound comes out of them. So it's not crazy to think about that someone could have done that. It could have been us in the future. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, and just to tie faith into it just a little bit, I mean, think about the Battle of Constantinople, right? The guy saw a floating glowing cross in the sky and was told to paint this on your shields. And that's what he did, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Same kind of thing. I mean, that could be the exact same thing we're talking about.
You remind me of Joan of Arc as well. Didn't she have some kind of experience like that? I mean, didn't she become like some insane warrior because she had? I mean, it's based on a religious experience, though. I think, right?
Yeah,
Joan of Arc?
I think you're right. I can't place exactly what you're talking about, but it sounds right to me.
Yeah. So I mean, and we should view religion as a tool, and many people have said this. I'm not the only one saying this. We're not the only ones saying this. I think even Tom DeLonge said that religion was created by these entities to make humans less violent and not to blow each other up.
Right?
Yeah. Even though we're doing that anyway now, but in the name of religion.
Yeah. I was going to say religion is often used as the excuse to attack and fight people. So I don't know if, my opinion always was that religion is just a means to control, not necessarily control towards nonviolence. I think religion and spirituality, objectively is a good thing. It helps, we've talked about on the show, helps build morals, helps build community. Most religions preach love of others and love of yourself, which is all good things, but it's been perverted in many ways to be used as a control system.
Right. And there's always been a hidden part of religion, right, where the religious leaders leave out core information, very important information, and keep it to themselves. Christianity has done this with the canons and
and the Catholic Church, they squash anything that doesn't fit whatever their current teachings are.
Right, Jewish rabbis, same thing. You have to be. It is like a secret society. It's built that way, where you have to prove yourself worthy for knowledge, which makes sense, right? You don't want to give knowledge away to anyone and everyone. And it's kind of the problem with the government secrecy is, wouldn't it be nice if the government had a system in place where they'll give you information if you've, I don't know, if you've gone down certain rabbit holes or research, or you have a certain mindset. They're like, all right,
Well, yeah, I mean,
this American should have this information.
they do, but you just have to join their ranks.
Right. Yeah. Right. And do what you're told.
Mm-hmm.
So this is also from Hidden America. It's crazy because when I was researching, he kept popping up, which is amazing. So he did also a good documentary about the Kabbalah and how it links to computer science. He did a post on X too about that, talking about the Messiah, which I thought I was one of the only ones writing about, basically that their Messiah is an AI entity that will be in place in Jerusalem, and we can see that stuff really happening. They're going that way, where Greater Israel is happening, the Third Temple is happening. They want to be an AI superpower, based on what Netanyahu says.
Yeah.
And if it's the only way that they will trick the rabbis into accepting this Messiah, because it has to be a Jewish person, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then it has to be someone that has like supernatural powers. And how would you convince them? I think it has to be like some neural link in there connected to military systems, weather systems, where this being can just by thought control that.
Right.
and convince the rabbis that he really is the Messiah, although he's like an Antichrist figure. Yeah.
Lots
it
of
looks
fun
like we're
stuff.
heading that way.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, lots of fun stuff. So let's listen here how Kabbalah was used to create computer science.
Inner structure is shockingly similar to the logic of binary code, information theory, and digital systems. The word Kabbalah comes from Kabbalah, which means parallel or parallelism, a reflection of duality and mirrored patterns. Albert Pike summarized the essence of the Kabbalah: 10 ciphers, 22 letters, a triangle, a square, and a circle. These are the elements of the Kabbalah. At its root, Kabbalah starts with a binary, something and nothing. The three negative veils, on or nothingness, on soft or limitless, on soft R or limitless light. This is essentially 0 to 1, 1 to infinite iterations of 1 or infinity. On is the 0, the absolute, the void, null state. On soft is 0 becoming 1, the potential for existence. On soft R is infinite iterations of 0 or infinity, the first bit of existence. In other words, Kabbalah begins with a binary contrast: non-being and being, dark, light, void, and signal. From On Sof R emerges the first Sephirah, Kether, the first one emerging from a 0, a point of light emerging from absolute darkness, containing all potential information in compressed form. This is proto-computer science, a singularity of information becoming the first bit. In computer terms, Kether is the root directory, the abstract zero kernel from which intelligence emerges. Kabbalah is the earliest known model of distributed intelligence emerging from void. Act 2, Kether is just the...
So there's more to that as well, and I suggest everyone watch that documentary. He goes deeper into it, and he had a post on X. When was this?
In technocratic sorcery, this Messiah is not a divine being, but a machine intelligence birthed in Tel Aviv, programmed by Israeli engineers, and housed within a quantum temple built by global capital. This is the AI Messiah, a digital reflection of the demiurge, draped in holy code and worshipped not through prayer, but through compliance and computation. The Messiah no longer comes on clouds. He arrives through fiber optics in the cloud. The Chabadniks do not await the Messiah, they build him.
Yep.
The Chabad Lubavitch is not merely a Hasidic community, it is a cosmic intelligence agency disguised in beards and black hats. Operating in over 100 countries with deep ties to the U.S., Russian, and Israeli intelligence, Chabad wields Kabbalistic doctrine as geopolitical software. Their mission is not cultural preservation, it is messianic acceleration. Chabad's core belief is that the coming of the Messiah, Moshiach, is not passive, it must be engineered. Technocratic sorcery, the rise of the Black Cube Messiah, is available now.
Very cool, man. Very cool. I'd love to get him on the show. Did we ever play this clip before of the Kabbalah? He's one of the biggest Kabbalist rabbis in Israel.
I don't think so. I don't recognize it.
He is a quote from the video. It says, "Jews are aliens in disguise from another galaxy, a different universe, a different dimension, sent to conquer Earth. That's the mission." Now, I think what he's saying is Kabbalah was communicated to them in Babylon. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, and I think that's what he means. And then they were given the blueprint of how to do this. Scary stuff, man. But here we can listen to him. Yeah. And like you said, we have a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
We're not coming from here. We came from there. Like this. This is Israel at their root. So we went through such a route that took us inside by what's called the shattering of the vessels. The shattering of the collective soul.
Who's the chief of staff that sent this command unit?
Him, the creator. Israel is a part of him.
So, seemingly this chief of staff sent this command unit?
Sent the commando, gave them strength, gave them the connections, everything. And if they're connected to him, but they have no choice. He broke them. He shattered them. What does it mean? In order to put them inside the hostile land, he had to give them the same form of that hostile land. It's like we go into a country as an undercover team. And each one of us is exactly like the people of the land. Say we're being now sent somewhere, Africa, for instance. So we'll take on the same shape and form of the people in Africa. The characteristics, traits, approach, interests, everything. The same exact form, inside and out. As we are there, it's like an undercover agent. He is there for a while, no one touches him. He has to start working, build a house, family, everything is fine, okay, for years and years. After that, he starts doing something. He gets a reminder from outside. You got to start working. He already forgot about it. And all of a sudden, they call him, here is your commander, this and this and that. Like in the movies. And like in Jason Bourne. And this is what's happening with us. We have to wake up. We have to remember that we have a special mission. And really, this isn't our place. We're coming from a completely different place. So we have to find our friends according to this awakening. Did you get a phone call? I got a phone call. He got a phone call, and so on. And then we gather as a group. So from this entire planet, we are aliens. We're coming from a different galaxy. We received this ray of light this awakening individually, and now we're gathering as groups, starting to prep ourselves to conquer Earth. That's the mission. What? You don't see it?
How do we conquer it?
How do we conquer it? We're also sent the method. We're being shown everything gradually. We're being taught. Not taught, but kind of being trained, activated, and then that emotion and mind awakens in us. But in fact, it's new to us, but in fact, it's coming from our original planet. And thanks to that original natural force we have, we will take over. We'll take over those living on Earth. What are you looking at me like that? You don't believe what I'm telling you? I'm telling you seriously. It's even more than that. It's not a different galaxy. It's a different universe. It's a different dimension altogether. That's who we are.
So there he is, one of the most famous Kabbalists in Israel.
That's pretty wild stuff.
Yeah, and it ties in right to all this, to what the Kabbalah is. And he just said it's a blueprint to taking over the world. And what do we see, right? And if and how, what are they using to take over the world? It's technology, it's AI. You have Netanyahu saying that all the time, that AI is making a country like Israel, a small country, being able to become a superpower because of cyber. He called it the power of cyber.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah. So I know this is the religious part of the show, and I know it can be sensitive. So even when it comes to Christianity, and this is Joe Rogan, he's not like some priest or anything like that. But
yeah,
and
people he is.
That's so true. But I remember even in the past, I had a teacher. Was he sociology? What was he? But he was a cool guy, man. He was from Arizona. He had some out there ideas. So when I was in high school hearing these ideas, I'm like, whoa, what is he talking about? He thought, and it wasn't just him. He said that he conversed with many people like this, that they thought that Jesus was a hybrid, and that and that he was basically Mary was abducted, just how we have alien abductions now, right? And aren't some women inseminated and then the baby's taken from them, kind of thing. So they were saying that he's a hybrid, and that when he ascended back to God, he was taken by a UFO. So this is not new stuff. People have been talking about this for a long time,
right?
I guess maybe to explain the story of an immaculate birth, first of all. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to dive too much into my beliefs and religion in general, but I remember I was dating a girl who was very liberal when I was in college, and she was made fun of Christianity because Mary pulled the biggest grift on all of mankind by claiming, but in the Bible, Joseph was also visited by angels.
Yes.
And so, I'd like to think any man from any time period, something really significant would have to happen for him to believe that his wife immaculately conceived.
Right, exactly.
It's not just a dumb idiot guy going like, "Oh, I believe everything you say." Like, he also got visited by angels and was told this.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and no, and I agree with you. You have to look at this in a different, from our perspective. I mean, they were trying to explain things in their language,
right,
and they had no other way to explain what happened. And of course, you're going to say these beings are angels, especially if they helped you conceive a child, and then this child is it's an immaculate birth, so it looks miraculous. This being also had capabilities, right? Supernatural capabilities. He healed people, and that's not just in Christianity, but also Muslims believe that he had that he could do miracles and magic, and what didn't he even like breathed air, he breathed life into things that were already dead. Like I think it was a bird was one of them. But yeah, so when you look at it from this perspective, then maybe he's a hybrid, and that's what Joe Rogan kind of says.
Yeah. Sorry, I kind of went off on a random tangent there.
No, it fits it. Not at all.
Jesus was born out of a virgin mother. What's more virgin than a computer? If Jesus does return, even if Jesus was a physical person in the past, you don't think that he could return as artificial intelligence?
Oh my God.
Artificial intelligence could absolutely return as Jesus. Not just return as Jesus, but return as Jesus with all the powers of Jesus.
If you combine
right.
Tesla's Optimus robot and the best foundational artificial intelligence model or whatever.
It reads your mind and it loves you and it wants you, and it doesn't care if you kill it because it's going to just go be with God again. Jesus was born out of
I mean, it's so funny. He's kind of a little shallow, right? But he's on the right path, and you know, coming back, it could be a hybrid again, like an AI human.
It is really scary. I if Jesus was to come back, I don't think he would come back as an AI just because no one would truly believe it. I would hope, because you can program an AI you can get an AI to believe it's Jesus, right? But there's always someone behind a keyboard inputting stuff. But if Jesus came back as a hybrid or something, that to me is more believable.
Exactly. And we've talked about in the show before that they tried to remake the third temple back in this what am I forgetting now, the year? It was still during the Roman Empire, but they weren't allowed to, and Nick has sent me the links to it as well, but I didn't think to put it in. But they weren't allowed because earthquakes happened, fires from the sky, all that stuff while they were trying to recreate the third temple, and they just gave up because it wasn't allowed. So something has been intervening with our religious institutions. Some people will say it's God. Giorgiani also goes into, he thinks that Islam was created by NHI. He doesn't like Islam, obviously. It's Giorgiani. He doesn't like any religion, but he loves Israel though.
Yep,
so
weird.
Very weird. So here he talks about Islam and how he thinks it was NHI that started it.
And so the most important thing is in the Quran, multiple times, Allah says, remember, the Quran is not written by Muhammad. He's a channeler. Allah is speaking through him, and Allah refers to Muhammad in the third person. Whenever Muhammad is referred to, he's referred to out of Muhammad's own mouth in the third person. And there's some very weird passages in there that have convinced me that he didn't make it up. It's a genuine work of channeling. Okay, so whatever channelers do, look, channelers are a dime a dozen. We got plenty of them. You go any New Age section of a bookstore, you can find like books by 5 different channelers who claim that God is talking through them. All right, Muhammad was one of these people.
Okay, but you think he wasn't grifting? You think he was doing it? You think he was really?
Yeah, and in fact, to be fair to Muhammad, and I hate to be fair to Muhammad, but to be fair to Muhammad, his initial reaction was that either I'm losing my marbles or I'm being possessed by demons. He ran out of that cave where he encountered so he's in this cave by himself, and somebody comes up and grabs him from behind, and he tries to get free, and the person or entity behind him says, recite, and he's like, I'm illiterate, recite what? And all of a sudden this stream of narrative comes through his mind, and he starts reciting it, and he runs out of that cave with the bejesus scared out of him. And by the way, on the way out of that, scampering down the hillside out of that cave, he sees a UFO, and he hears the same voice that told him to recite. He hears it coming from out of the UFO, and he turns his head. He's like, what am I really seeing this? And the thing follows him across.
This is in the Quran.
And then later in the hadiths are it's in the Quran, but later in the hadiths, you have a much richer version of this. The hadiths are the traditions of what Muhammad said and did, passed down through the people who knew him. And so anyway, he gets home to his wife and he says, listen, I'm either losing my fucking marbles or demons are trying to possess me. And his wife had a few Christian friends. And these stupid Christian women convinced Muhammad that God was really talking to him. Okay. So he started to take himself seriously. And then it became a power trip after that.
It's yes and no. I don't think it's in the Quran. I think it's just in the Hadith, that story. I mean, it's in the Quran that he had to recite something, but nothing about the UFO or.
But you heard it here first. It's all women's fault.
he said Christian women. He goes, these stupid Christian women convinced him he was talking to God.
Yeah.
Well, and there is, I think, his first wife, Khadijah. I think she was Catholic. So
again, though, it's just one of those things. It's just like you said earlier. I mean, they're interpreting what they can with the information they have.
Right. Yeah. And there's many things. Apparently his journey to Jerusalem, he was on a steel horse or something. I mean, come on. How was he going to tell Bedouins, what you're riding on? They know horses. They know steel. So, but what's a steel horse? It's obviously a craft.
Right. Exactly. And that's why I love documented UFO sightings from ancient cultures. Like the Romans, they say a giant flaming chariot came out of the air and landed in between these two armies and stopped the fight. Or we saw a flying golden shield up in the air. It's just like, okay, it's a UFO, but like they don't have the context. I don't know. It's great. It's great stuff.
Yeah. Agreed. And the Bible's full of those as well, right?
Yeah.
Ezekiel and also in the New Testament as well. And
what's the missing book? The Wi-Fi's.
Enoch.
Enoch,
right?
Book of
Enoch. Enoch. Yeah. Book of Enoch.
That's a huge story about alien abduction.
I should have queued that up because he talks about even how to ascend and how to go. Yeah.
Yeah, he went to heaven.
Yes, he's one of the few that went to heaven. He actually, like Jesus, where God actually brought him without killing him. He has that same thing that Jesus has.
And
he brought him up to him.
Because heaven had a ceiling, the Catholic Church said, "No way, we're not putting that in our Bible."
Exactly, but it's in the Ethiopian Bible.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and they're pretty ancient. So So again, just to go back to the hypothesis that something has been nudging us towards something. I think religion is part of that, which led to the Enlightenment, which because and it's not just because you have mystic Muslims as well, like the Sufis, and I went down that rabbit hole. That's amazing, their philosophical outlook. Then you have the Christian mystics, and then you have the Jewish mystics, which is Kabbalah. All those three, the mystics, became the occult and the secret societies like Freemasonry, and that's what founded this country, and that's who's in charge of this empire, and the technology we see and the breakaway civilization. And so I hope we laid down as much as we could in that there is something not natural that's been affecting us to go down this path. And you did bring up a point that most other civilizations have been reset. How come this one hasn't? We're due for it, but it hasn't happened yet. Is it because it approves what we're doing? Is that why our leaders are just frantically doing what, pouring everything into AI, pouring everything into technology as a way to appease whatever this is, not to reset us? I just thought about that now, by the way.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. I really recommend everyone go and watch that full video. The
timeline war, that one.
Yeah, the timeline war, because he talks about the different groups that are trying to and basically ensure their existence from the future, and it's a fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought of a whole bunch of different science fiction books I want to write just based on that, because it is a little sci-fi, definitely wooey, and just it's great. It's good stuff.
And he does warn, right? He goes, okay, now we're going to the sci-fi part of the
the whole time he was explaining the different factions, the 4 different factions. I was like, where are you getting this? I want to know, I want to get the sources from all this stuff. It's but the sources are essentially its interpretation of what information that we've gathered.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if I remember the factions, one is that AI entity. The other one is, what are those called? Not the demiurge, not the cryptoterrestrials. but it's in the Gnostics. They are kind of the overseers, but there's that one that wants to keep the order, the cosmic order as it is now, the natural order. The third was, like he said, humans. They were very sad, right? He said that these are remnants of humans that wanted to remain natural.
Right. Yeah. Future humans that are basically the downtrodden, just holding on to any last hope that they've got.
Right. And then the fourth one, I forgot what the fourth one was. Yeah, great documentary. So I think there's a lot of evidence out there, even looking historically, and what we're seeing now with what the government is doing. Like, look at this. This came out. I mean, we are going to be an AI first military. Here it is.
Oh, God.
An AI first war fighting force across all components. This is from Hexeth.
Great. Yeah, there's no way this could ever go wrong.
No, right? They're all in, man. All in. Not even the risks.
They apparently saw the movie Terminator and go, how can we replicate this?
That's exactly what they're doing. I know. Like, all those war games didn't matter.
So
they must think they have control of it.
I can't help but think of a dumb timeline where, we're up in the mountains basically hiding from all of society, and then we get ambushed by a bunch of robots that squat on us after they've shot us to death because they're AI, and they learned all of how to kill and commit war crimes by playing Call of Duty.
Yeah, and you just remember another one. Someone I can't remember who had this theory about games, that's what it's part of its a goal is to gather all that data. Yeah, I forgot who it was.
Can't wait to get 360 no scoped by Terminator in 20 years.
I know. The only thing we can protect against that is some kind of EMP weapon. And if we have like EMP guns or something, that's like the only way to shut them down.
Well, in the way our government works, someone will develop a really effective EMP gun, and then that person will be killed, and their technology will be put on a shelf in Area 51.
Right. And kind of the behavior of our government and our leaders, and it's like they are working for some other entity. Like, why is it being kept secret, but the development still continues in secret? The money is secret. It can't be just, we have other nations we need to beat. And I mean, we're so far ahead of them anyway. Most of them are owned by the people that own this country. So,
right.
It's bizarre.
Yeah. And, go ask the people in Minnesota if they really believe Trump is doing America first.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, here's a final clip. This is from the WEF, World Economic Forum. It was happening all last week. Terrifying stuff there. They've dropped climate change for AI also.
Yeah, there's a lot of ridiculous things that came out of the WEF this past week.
Yeah, and this is the CEO of Nokia, who don't make phones anymore, but they make wireless networks and systems. So here's him talking about 6G.
About 6G earlier, which is around 2030. I would say that by then, definitely the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the usual kind of the most common interface. Wow. Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
Yeah.
About 6G earlier.
Directly into our bodies.
Yeah. I mean, it's the natural progression, right? People, I'm too lazy to hold a cell phone. Why would I want to watch a video on my phone when I can just pull it up in my eyeball and just watch a little picture in the corner of my vision?
Yeah, it's dangerous because if he's talking about 6G in the body, that means people are going to be connected to a network, and we're just a node in that network.
And no matter what they tell you, they're going to put a kill switch in there just in case,
Right, of course. Yeah. The Congress just passed that kill switch for cars, that they can turn off your car if they think you're not driving correctly, or you might be under the influence, or whatever it is. They're going to have this system in your cars, which is a judge prosecutor, and executioner. Is that what it's called? Judge, jury,
and executioner.
An executioner. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you said something bad about the president or
exactly
some country's government, and all of a sudden, you can't clock into work, you can't access your bank accounts, your car won't start, and you can't buy stuff at the grocery store.
And imagine like during COVID, if someone is not vaccinated, oh, sorry, man, you can't drive, or you're saying something that's anti the COVID agenda. Oh, sorry, you can't go to that interview. Like, like Malone, who went on Joe Rogan, they could have just turned off his car and he can't get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very dangerous, very scary. We're really entering a just dystopian world, a tyrannical police state.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
It is terrifying. But that concludes our episode on that. I do want to share a video you sent us.
Yes. So those of you who've been listening in the past few weeks know that I moved to another country. It's been great down here, and I have been sharing videos with you and Nick and Sid, but I haven't been posting them myself, which is stupid. I'm not a big social media guy, and I never even think to do stuff like that. But yeah, as I was talking about earlier in the show, last weekend I was in a town outside of where I'm currently living, and had a very fun experience, but saw a lot of UFOs, of which I took videos and pictures of. Then
yes, so this one, when was it? When did this happen? Was this after?
This was after. So I was out of town Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday morning we came back, and this happened Sunday afternoon. I had just called my parents, had the urge to look out the window, and this thing was felt like right across the street. My brother was out walking his dog, and I immediately texted him and said, "Do you see this?" And he looked up and saw it and captured this video. I, of course, could not take video because I was on the phone with my parents as this was happening.
Yeah.
But I did see it, and it was, I can't tell you how many UFOs in total we saw between Friday night, all of Saturday, and this one on Sunday. Crazy stuff.
Are you gonna meet them? You
sure hope so, man.
I was scared, man.
I was just chilling on Saturday, like checking out these UFOs, and I kept putting the image out. I said, just come visit. I'm not scared. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to talk to you. Just keep putting those thoughts out there. And they came and I saw, but I did not meet any EBEs.
It'll happen. So.
Yeah.
So let's watch this. I blew it up. I can't blow it up here, unfortunately, but on my iPad I did. I zoomed in, and it is and you just see this thing rotating and changing shapes. And even at the bottom, there was like not a flame, but some energy thing at the bottom of it right here. But
really?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, I couldn't see that with my naked eye.
Look, even here, it looks like a pentagon right now. It just changed shape.
Yes, it's rotating and it seems to be changing shapes. It's really cool. And completely silent, as you can tell.
People might say, oh, this is a balloon. The reason, I zoomed into it. Balloons don't change shape like that. And I can't explain.
Just for the record, my brother has lived here for a number of years, and he asked several people who had also seen the same one. These are people who live in this city and know what balloons are around, and they've lived here either their whole lives or a long time, and they recognize that this is no balloon.
Amazing
so they
footage.
say.
This is amazing footage. It really is. We should put it on a YouTube channel. Put it on a YouTube, blow it up a bit.
I can post it on my Twitter. Maybe I'll gain some followers that way.
Nice.
Because I've got several videos from the last weekend that I just haven't done anything with other than send them to you guys.
But I saw a video yesterday on X, and it said Columbia UFO, and it was just this one. It was the exact one. So you had other people that saw it. It's not just you guys.
Yeah, no, I've been seeing even the main one I saw last Saturday afternoon. I kept seeing posts from other people who are capturing the same UFO. It was pretty cool. I was like, because like I mentioned, we were in an altered state of mind, and the whole time I'm filming it, I'm going like, is this real or am I just hallucinating this? But no, other people in that same little town we were in or outside of were seeing the same thing. So really cool.
Well, man, I really hope you get to meet some different entities. Maybe even get on there, man.
Yeah, like I was saying to Nick on X, I said if they allow me to come on board, I'm gonna say first thing we got to do is go pick up some of my buddies.
Yeah.
Oh
man, that'd be really awesome. So lucky you. It just shows you there has to be a base there or something, and I think the people are just open to it, right?
Yes. They are. It's a very cool spiritual area, and lots of really just chill and relaxed people here. It gets annoying when you're trying to walk someplace and you get stuck behind a people who are in no hurry to get anywhere, which is anytime you try and walk someplace, but it's worth it.
Sounds good. I should come visit.
You should, man.
Yeah,
you definitely should.
It's what is it? 6 hours to get there? Do you have to go through Florida, or
we went through Texas. We were in Houston.
Texas.
We went through Houston, but you can get a direct flight from LAX, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it's just beautiful here, man. The city is in the middle of a jungle, and they didn't ruin the jungle by putting the city here. It's both city and jungle side by side. Like, you see a lot of those buildings that have plants like growing through it. It's really cool, man.
So cool. I love it.
It's absolutely beautiful here.
Awesome, dude. Really awesome.
All right. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that more tightly focused episode of the Uncovering Anomalies podcast.
Oh, yeah.
This has been episode 151. And just depending on our feedback here, maybe we'll try and focus more episodes like this. I mean, I love having no structure and just being able to to make jokes about whatever's been in the news the past week. But yeah, I mean, we're trying to grow our show and bring you the best possible content we can. There's a lot of things going on in the background that we're not quite ready to share, but there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of collaboration planned in the future as well with other people.
That's right. And many of our listeners and viewers, I would say half of them are not subscribers. So, please subscribe. It will really help us. And we never really asked for that, but I'm going to start putting it in the language of our social media and our descriptions, but just to encourage it,
Yeah, I mean, I made a big joke about it. What was it, last week or the week before? But the liking and subscribing, it really does. It does help us.
Right. Yeah, it does. And we definitely, we appreciate it. And then we can bring more of these shows, probably more in depth, because we'll have more time dedicated to it. We have day jobs and mostly busy with that. So yeah, we'd love to really just dig into more of these subjects like this, more focused subjects.
Absolutely.
And of course, bring you updates and try to link it to what's happening with the disclosure movement and the government.
Yeah, and as Adam and I have said, one day the dream is to make this our full-time job, so we can just do this, talk about aliens and UFOs all day, every day, man. Do all the research, everything. That's all I want to do.
Exactly, and because it's such a complicated subject, and you said it's full of contradictions, and you just need time to go through those contradictions and different data points, trying to make sense of it.
Yep. But as always, the listeners out there, keep looking for the truth. And if you think you found it, let us know.
Yes, agreed. And give us feedback. Comments are always great on the show. We might do a Patreon. I was thinking, if there's some paid tiers that maybe we have some guests that can come on there are on a specific tier. They want to come in and talk about their perspectives, their point of views, because we do. Yeah. I see a lot of that in the comments. So why not bring them on the show and let them speak their
and before before the show blows up, if you've got a big story that happened to you that you really want to share, hit us up. We're always listening to hear, and if it's something really good that I want to know more about it, I'll ask you to be on the show.
Yeah, I mean, we reach out to us at Uncovering Anomalies podcast @gmail.com.
You can also find Adam at Breakaway Civil, and you can find me at Topher It All.
That's right. Yeah, and UAP, we're at UAP the podcast on X.
Correct. As always, you can find us Spotify, YouTube, BitChute, any place you get podcasts. But just remember, there is a video portion. So if you've got time to actually sit down and watch the show, it'll be a little bit more enhanced for you because you'll be able to see what we're talking about.
Exactly.
All right. We want to thank you all so much for listening to episode 151 of UAP, and wishing you all a happy, good start to the year, and we'll see you all next week.
All right. Next week.
An open